The day my entire family skipped my law school graduation, I sat alone in a row of empty chairs holding 4 reserved programs with their names printed across the top. 3 months later, my mother called and said my younger sister had been arrested, and because I was the lawyer in the family, they expected me to fix everything for free. My name is Alina Parker, and graduating from law school was the hardest thing I had ever done. I had worked nights at a legal aid office, studied through migraines, survived on coffee and discounted groceries, and turned down every invitation that might interfere with exams. For 3 years, my family told people how proud they were of me. My mother posted photos of my acceptance letter. My father told his coworkers his oldest daughter was going to become an attorney. My sister, Kayla, joked that she would finally have someone to get her out of parking tickets. So when graduation approached, I sent invitations 2 months early. I booked 4 seats together for my parents, Kayla, and my grandmother. I even paid for 2 hotel rooms because the ceremony was 3 hours from our hometown. My father promised they would leave before sunrise. My mother asked what color dress she should wear. Kayla said she had already requested the day off from work. The night before graduation, I called home to confirm their arrival time. Nobody answered. I sent a message to the family group chat. My mother finally replied 40 minutes later. Change of plans. Kayla's boyfriend surprised her with a weekend trip. We don't want her traveling alone, so we're going with them. We'll celebrate you next week. I read the message 3 times. I thought there had to be some misunderstanding. Kayla had been dating Jordan for 6 months. He had booked a cabin near a lake for her birthday, even though her birthday was still 2 weeks away. My parents had decided that supporting her special weekend mattered more than attending the ceremony they had known about for months. I called my mother immediately. She answered in a cheerful voice and said, "Honey, don't be upset. Graduation ceremonies are long and crowded. You'll still have your friends there. I reserved seats for all of you." I know, but Kayla was so excited, and Jordan already paid for the cabin. My graduation only happens once. So does her first romantic weekend away. I could hear Kayla laughing in the background. Then my father took the phone and said, "You're 30 years old, Alina. You don't need your parents clapping for you to know you did well." I asked if Grandma was coming. There was a pause. My mother said Grandma had decided not to travel alone. That hurt most. Grandma had been the only person who checked on me during finals without asking for legal advice. She had mailed me $20 bills inside greeting cards even when I told her not to. But she no longer drove long distances, and my parents had been her ride. The next morning, I put on my black graduation gown and walked into the auditorium with hundreds of other students. Families shouted names, waved signs, and held up phones. When mine was called, my classmates cheered loudly enough that I almost cried. Afterward, my closest friend, Priya, found me near the steps. Her parents handed me flowers and insisted I join their family photographs. They had brought an extra sandwich because Priya told them I might forget to eat. I smiled for the pictures, but every few minutes my eyes moved toward the entrance. My family never came. They posted photographs from the lake that afternoon. Kayla sat between my parents on a boat, holding a drink and wearing a new sun hat. The caption said, "Family memories are everything." I did not comment. The following week, my mother arranged a dinner at a chain restaurant near home. They brought a grocery store cake with "Congrats Ellen" written in icing. My name is Alina. Kayla arrived 40 minutes late and spent most of dinner showing everyone pictures from the cabin. When the server asked what we were celebrating, my mother said, "Both of our girls had a big weekend." That was the moment something changed in me. I stopped arguing. I stopped explaining why graduation mattered. I thanked them for dinner, took my grandmother home, and returned to the city. Over the next several months, I prepared for the bar exam and accepted a position with a small litigation firm. I passed on my first attempt. My family congratulated me in the group chat with balloons and courtroom emojis. Nobody visited. I became licensed and started working under a senior attorney named Marcus Chen. He was demanding but fair. He taught me how to separate emotion from evidence, how to recognize when someone was lying without calling them a liar, and how to tell clients the truth even when they hated hearing it. Then, 3 months after graduation, my mother called at 6 in the morning. She was crying. "Kayla has been arrested." I sat up in bed. "For what?" "She says it's a misunderstanding. Something about money at work." Kayla worked as an assistant manager at a jewelry store. According to my mother, the police believed she had processed false refunds and transferred the money onto gift cards. The total was more than $18,000. My mother said, "We need you to come home immediately." "I have court this morning." "This is your sister." "I understand. Has she been assigned a lawyer?" "We don't want some stranger. You know the family, you know Kayla." I explained that I was newly licensed, did not practice criminal law, and could not ethically represent her without the necessary experience. My mother ignored every word. "You went to law school for 3 years. What was the point if you won't help your own family?" I almost laughed. "Instead," I said, "the point was to become competent, not magical." My father called next. He said they could not afford the attorney they had contacted. He reminded me that they had helped pay for my undergraduate textbooks. I reminded him I had paid for law school myself. He said, "Family doesn't keep score." That sentence landed differently after the empty chairs at graduation. I agreed to drive home after work, but I made one thing clear. I would not represent Kayla. I would review the paperwork and help them find a qualified criminal defense attorney. When I arrived, Kayla was sitting at the kitchen table wearing one of my mother's sweaters. She looked frightened, but she also looked annoyed. "This is being blown out of proportion," she said. "The store is acting like I stole from them." "Did you process the refunds?" She looked at our parents before answering. "Sometimes customers returned items without receipts. I used gift cards so the register would balance." "Were the gift cards used by you?" "Not exactly." "Were they used by Jordan?" Her face tightened. That was enough. The police report showed 16 suspicious refunds connected to Kayla's employee number. Security footage showed Jordan entering the store several times and leaving with gift cards. Bank records linked some of the cards to online purchases shipped to their apartment. My father leaned over the paperwork and said, "Can't you argue that anyone could have used her employee number?" "Not honestly." My mother whispered, "You're supposed to be on her side." "I am on the side of keeping her from making this worse." Kayla folded her arms. "So you think I'm guilty?" "I think there is evidence you need to take seriously." She stood so quickly, the chair scraped against the floor. "You've always thought you were better than me." I stared at her. She continued, "Law school, bar exam, fancy office. You love making us feel stupid." I asked, "Did I make you feel stupid when I paid for your car repair last winter? Or when I reviewed your lease for free? Or when I covered your rent after Jordan lost his job?" She said nothing. My mother stepped between us. "This is not the time." "No," I said. "The time was my graduation. That was when all of you showed me exactly how much my work mattered. Now you want the result of that work without respecting what it took to earn it." My father's face hardened. "Are you really punishing your sister because we missed one ceremony?" It was not one ceremony. It was the clearest example of a pattern. The room went quiet. I told them I would contact 3 criminal defense attorneys and send the information that evening. I would not pay the legal fees, lie to investigators, or use my professional license to protect anyone from evidence. Kayla began crying. For the first time, the anger disappeared from her face. She admitted Jordan had convinced her the store would never notice. He said the company had insurance and that the money was not really being taken from a person. At first, she processed one false refund, then another. By the time she wanted to stop, Jordan threatened to tell the store everything and blame her alone. That did not make her innocent, but it changed the situation. I helped her organize the messages Jordan had sent, including one where he instructed her which items to enter and how much to place on each card. I told her not to delete anything and not to contact him. The attorney I referred her to negotiated a plea agreement that included restitution, probation, and community service. Jordan faced separate charges after the messages and purchase records were reviewed. Kayla avoided jail, but she lost her job and spent nearly 2 years repaying the store. Our relationship did not magically heal. For months, she blamed me for refusing to fight harder. Eventually, during one of her restitution payments, she called and apologized. She said, "I thought being your sister meant I was entitled to everything you knew." I told her, "Being my sister means I want you safe. It does not mean I will pretend consequences are cruelty." My parents apologized too, though not immediately. My father admitted he had dismissed my graduation because he assumed I would always succeed and therefore did not need support. My mother confessed that Kayla had always demanded more attention, and they had grown used to rewarding the person who made the most noise. Grandma's apology came in the form of a small package. Inside was the graduation program she had asked Priya to mail her, and a silver frame containing a photograph of me receiving my diploma. On the back, she had written, "I was not there when I should have been, but I have never been less proud." I keep that photograph beside my law license. My entire family skipped my law school graduation, then expected me to rescue my sister when she was arrested. I helped her, but not in the way they demanded. I gave her competent advice, connected her with the right attorney, and refused to sacrifice my ethics to protect the same people who had treated my achievement like an inconvenience. Sometimes family support does not mean removing consequences. Sometimes it means telling the truth before the damage becomes permanent. Would you have helped Kayla after the family skipped your graduation, or would you have refused completely? Tell me what you think, and subscribe to Real Stories of Women for more original family drama stories.